first one. It says to rent a carpet cleaner at the hardware store. There's a set
Why are you?
fee.
Those are people's calculators they bought from home.
There's a set fee and an hourly rate. The rental cost, C, can be determined using the equation when the carpet cleaner is rented for 8 hours. So, what is the hourly rate? The slope, which is what number? 3. Because it's $3 per hour. So 3 would be your slope, H would be your x coordinate.
Miss K, where is that pen?
What is 25 then? Your y-intercept, your initial.
Miss K, what a pen at?
I don't know where they all went.
They took them?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Does that make sense?
I don't see it.
Alright, which of the following statements is an example of causation? So remember, causation means one thing causes the other. So which one would be causation? Just bring up this paper. So causation. Which one would be causation? Remember, correlation means one thing affects the other, but it doesn't necessarily mean it causes it. The only thing that one causes the other is D. After operating costs are paid at a toy shop, as more toys are sold, more money is made. The more toys they sell at a toy shop, the more money they're making, right? That would be the only cost. Does that make sense? Here's some blank paper if you guys want to take notes. I can print it out after. All right, next one. So what type of, they're asking correlation. So what type of correlation is this?
Negative.
Negative, because it's going down, right? So we know it's a negative correlation. Is it strong or weak?
Weak. Strong.
It's pretty strong, right? Like if I were to draw this line, they're all pretty close to that line. So what's your answer? D.
Sure.
Perfect. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, we're gearing up for the last time, and then I'm going to get them all.
Okay, do we still need to collect some of the PFA?
Yeah. If you, and some of them are brainstorms, when you can get 89. So in case you forget, review session. I'll talk to you after that. Okay. All right, next one. So this is talking about the line of best fit. So most of your classes, I already showed you Ariel's video. That's what you're doing here. So Ariel's video is on my YouTube thing. And so first of all, you need to write each of these points down. So you're going to have to type into L1 and L2. So first, let's look at your x coordinate of your first one. What's your x coordinate of your first one? 1. And what's the y coordinate? 3. That's what you're doing. So the second one, what's your x coordinate?
2.
And your y?
1.
And then you go down the list. So 3, 5.
We could put this in the calculator, can't we?
5. Yeah, you're putting it into L1, L2.
Mm-hmm.
4, 5. 4, 7. 4, 5, 7. 6, 5. Remember, this is the one where you have to do stat linear regression. 6, 5, then 7, 7. So when it's not obvious, you do have to go about doing this. So 7, 7, I get all these. 8, 5. 8, 5, 8, 8. So you go to stat, edit, and put all the first column in L1 in order, and all the second in L2. So 8, 8, 9, 7. 9, 7, okay. 10, 9, and 11, 9. 10, 9, 11, 9. So all those that first column should all be in L1, and you can grab the calculator that you're going to use. So if you gave me one today, it's in that purple box.
Oh, you got your calculator? Oh, he had 2. He had 2. He had 2 of them.
Oh, he don't take this class.
Oh, yeah.
Ariel, can you scroll down? writing all that into stat, edit, L1, L2. If your L1 or L2 doesn't, like, say you delete it by
Miss K, I
accident,
need a calculator.
you can always redo it.
Why you have this? This is yours, though, right? This is mine.
George.
Be careful.
Do it together. Make sure they're all in order, though. So then you go to stat, calc, and then you go to linear regression. Mm-hmm. Is that a 5? This one? No, that.
Do this with the tongue.
Alright, you'll see.
What? Just put it back.
No. I was like,
It's A and B. So this is, let me just do this real quick, even if you're still typing it in. So if you go to, no, it's not the correlation. You can see it's in slope intercept form. I'm going to go to Ariel's video. See how this is y equals ax plus b? When you go to linear regression, it has a equals something, b equals something. You want the a and the b. If it's a correlation coefficient, then you would be finding r. But you're typing all these numbers in, and what do you end up getting for a when you do it? 0.6, and what's b? 2.4. So what would your answer be?
Miss K, you need the thing on this. No, the gray thing.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Does this make sense? Does everyone understand how to work this? And we're going to be going over
He threw it on
calculators after school.
Mouse. So Charles don't have no calculator. So I was like, you can just go get one of Miss K calculators and put your name on a sticky note and put it in the basket. So he did it. Miss K was like, is this my calculator? Charles was like, yes. And she snatched his name off.
When you first get the calculator, make sure you turn diagnostic. So you put second, 0, analog, scroll till you see diagnostic on, and put it under a calculator.
Charles. This what she snatched off.
Alright.
This what she snatched off the calculator.
So,
It was just like this.
if I were to draw a wave, how many bumps would it have?
It was just like this.
2. So, what's another word for 2?
Bye.
Prefix. Bi, right? So, which one says bi on here?
Why am I?
Uniform would be like 1. Multiple outliers would be stuff skewed to the right or skewed to the left. Remember, if something's skewed to the right, the tail is at the right. Skewed to the left, the tail is on the right. Alright, so here's their week 1 test scores and their week 2 test scores. So they want to know what is the best explanation for why what week 2 mean score was lower than his week 1. So even though most of his test scores are higher, what happened that brought the mean down?
64.
And what is that considered? Outlier, right? So he had one very low score in week 2. That outlier would be why. Does that make sense?
Yes, they do, Miss K.
Cool. All right. Next one. This is
So
another
me.
calculator. So you can either put them in order or remember go to stat, edit, and remember you go to L1 and you type in all the first one. So we have this first town, this one, and then we have this second town, Charlotte. So they're asking about interquartile range, mean, median. So I would go through. So first in L1, go to
Good afternoon.
before they start, go to stat, edit, and put all these in L1.
Good afternoon.
When we do this, that X with the line over it means mean. So the mean here, they're asking about the things I want to find are inner quartile range, lower quartile, which is Q1, mean, median, upper
Why
quartile.
can't I say it like that?
So that X with the line over it means mean. Q1 is 69, median was 71, Q3 was 72. Remember, IQR is on your reference sheets. Q3 minus Q1. You can also put these all in order. So you can put it 66, 69,
It's plain.
71, hold on, 71, 72, 73. This group over here.
I have a question.
Okay, don't talk while I'm talking. Yeah.
You said put the second row in
No, just look at the first row. So when you typed it into your calculator, you went to stat, edit, and you put all these in L1.
Yeah.
Or you could do it by hand and put them all in order. Remember the cross out thing? So I'm like, okay, the middle of 71 and 71 is what? 71.
Bro, this charge.
Then you break them up into two groups. What's the middle one here? 69, which is your Q1. What's the middle one here? Which is your Q3. And then mean, you add them all up, divide by how many numbers. IQR is this one minus that one. Now you have to do the same thing. So remember, to not delete L1, highlight L1 and click clear and enter. So go to L1. Do not click delete on L1 or you're going to delete the whole row. So highlight L1, click clear and enter. So if you go to stat, go all the way up till your little clicker is on
If you don't know
L1.
how to work your calculator, you need to come to
So stat, edit, and then highlight L1. Yeah, and then click
Welcome,
clear.
Lord.
Girl.
Welcome back.
You're going to leave. Now, are you guys good?
I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention.
They have
This
Miss.
is me doing it on my own.
How do I let you talk about charging me like just?
You got
Okay.
shot on your shoulder.
Now you're going to do it with the second row. So now, in L1, write the second set of numbers in your calculator. So you know how to clear L1. Clear and enter. Now write those numbers. 69, 64, 68, 74, 71, 75.
We were supposed to put it still.
No. We
They
only
look like a
use
skinny
L.
gorilla.
I can't. Because at this point it's disrespectful, and I taught 3 classes already. I could just sit here and sit at my desk while you guys do extended learning. But I'm taking my time out of my day and energy so that I can make sure you know this. So if you're not going to take it seriously, I'm not making you stay here. So please go to extended learning if you're not going to take it seriously. But when you're talking, people are missing important things who want to be here and want to know the material. So the only time you write in L1 and L2 is if it's coordinates, like if it's X and Y coordinates. But these aren't X and Y coordinates. They're two different situations. So like if it was like X and Y, basically, like points. Yeah, and like, yeah, exactly. So these are two situations, so they're not X and Y, so you would write each one in L1. When you do that, you should end up getting 70.2 as the mean. You should have gotten 68 as Q1. For median, hold on, you get 70. For Q3, you get 74. And for the IQR, you get 6. Yes.
Okay, so
Miss K, your highlight.
after this right here, I'm on the second one. You first.
That,
Stat, you
No.
go to calc, and then
no, just on one. That's if you want an equation. Yep,
This one?
yep.
Miss K, your highlight, bro.
And then look, this is where I can
Yep.
do that. And then so you press list one.
Nope, just click calculator. Yep. There you go. That tells you everything. There's the mean, scroll down, min, Q1,
You
Q3.
heard me?
Yeah. So let's figure out which one is right. Yeah. So inner quartile range of the temperatures is the same. Are these numbers the same? No, so that can't be right. The lower quartile, which is Q1 right here, in Mason, in this one, is less than this one. Is 69 less than 68? No, so it couldn't be that. The mean and median temperatures in Macon, whatever it is, were higher than the mean and median temperatures in Charlotte. So are these numbers 70.3 and 71, are they bigger than 70.2 and 70?
Yes.
Yes, so that's your answer. is the upper quartile of the temperatures in Charlotte was less than in Mason. So upper quartile is this one is 74 less than 72. So it's gotta be C. These two
I'm just
here,
saying.
Mason right here. These two numbers, 70.3 is bigger than 70.2. That's correct. 71 is bigger than 70. So that's why that answer. Does that make sense?
We done with it.
All right, so this is talking about range of numbers, right? And so they're talking about quartiles. So remember, there's 4 quartiles. What percent of data is in each quartile? 25%, right? Because it's quarters. So they're saying, which range of numbers includes the 3rd quartile of codes collected for both freshman and sophomore? So remember, it's from your median to Q3 is your 3rd quartile. That's 25%. So what's your median of your first one? 10, right? Then the interquartile range, the IQR, is 6, right? So what does it mean? It means this way and this way. When I add them, they should get 6. 10 is right here. Median is 10. And so what's half of 6? If I were to break that in half. 3. So what is 10 plus 3? 13. What would the Q1 be? What's 10 minus 3? 7. Because that is 13 minus 7, your IQR would be 6. Then let's do the second one. So the second one says the median is what?
10.
10. And the interquartile range was 4. So that means what would be my Q3? Remember top 4. Yep. 12 right here. And what about right here?
That's
8, right? And so they just want to know the 3rd quartile, this right here. Their ranges are from 10 to 13 and 10 to 12. So which one of these ranges includes 10 to 13 and 10 to 12? C, 10 to 16. It's a weird question. Quartile 3, because it tells me the interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1, right? So it tells me from Q3 to Q1 total is 6. So I would have to break it in half. So this side would be 3, and that side would be 3. And so I would just add 3 to 10. And that's subtract 3. And so that's it. The quartile range is just how much. Yeah.
It's funny, but it's not that funny.
Subtract 3. Subtract 3 from 10 and get 7. Why didn't you subtract? Oh, no. So it's like 8 plus 2, so the whole range is 4, so that's why I broke it in half. And they're only asking about. Okay. So they're saying which is not correct, so which things am I going to have to find?
Can you go to the other side, please? Or
Sure. Which things am I going to have to find here?
you gotta find the
Mean. What else?
lower quartile, the median, and the maximum.
So what do I do with my calculator?
First, you
Stat edit.
Stat,
Yep. Actual
Yeah, go do
stat linear calculator.
stat, edit, type them all into L1, and let's see which one is not correct. Or you could put them in order and do it yourself. So you can, if you're going to do it by yourself, make sure they're in order. So 39, 43, 44, 44.
You got a 1 bar, right?
What?
Wait, you got a 1 and 4.
1. Linear regression is getting an equation. 49, 49. 50, 51. You can find, first of all, is the minimum 39?
Yes.
Yes, it's the smallest number. Is the maximum 51?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
And let's find the middle. Remember, we cross 1 out, 1 out. 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. So what's your median? Is that right? Mm-hmm. So it's got to be the other one. So remember, you don't include the median in it. So, yeah, so when I'm trying to find the median, I go 1, 1. These two are in the middle. What number is between 43 and 44? 43.5. That is good. Lower quartile. You guys good? Yeah. Even if you type it into stat edit. Yeah, I forgot.
You're not getting extra credit.
All right. Make sure you type all your numbers in. Next one. So, remember, when we have box plots, each increment is what percent? 25. So in general, which one is the highest? Like which whole graph in general is the highest up on my graph? Because remember, these are, so the larger this is getting larger. Which one's closer to the end in general?
Let me see one more time.
Which one?
Fast forward.
No, because class 4 has a bigger rate. 3. See how it's like kind of scooted all the way to here? Because this is 25%, so is this, so is that, so is that. Even though it's small, it's still 25% of your data.
So what about class?
Class 4, this is 25%. 25%
Okay.
of your data is pretty low, right?
So what about class?
It's always it's from
Hello.
here to here is
Hello.
25. From here to here is 25.
Right,
From here to here is 25.
right.
And from there to there, it's only 25%. So that means 75% of your data is right here, which is pretty low.
That's
So that's what we look at when we look at your milestone scores and your math scores. We look at this and we see, okay, how if 25% of this school, if this is your data for this school, we could see, okay, most of your data is pretty high, right? Like, so if your milestone scores are from 75 to 80, if at 25% of you got that, 25% of you got from 85 to 100, your scores would be higher in general than this one.
yeah,
Does that make sense? Even though the boxes may be wider or smaller, it's still 25% of your data. All right. What is the median here?
5.
What's this middle one? 5. What's your Q3?
that's still a calculator.
6.5. Yeah, 6.3. What's your Q1?
3.5.
I like 6.1.
1.
I think it's so. What's your max?
9.
8.7.
Yeah, 8.5, 8.7. What's your min?
1.
1.1.
Yeah, 1.1. But median is 5. So right here, the median was 5. All right. So when I draw this is like this, right? Where's the tail at? The right or the left?
Left, right.
This is the right. Where's the tail of it?
Left. You
Yeah.
know which one's the tail?
When it's long.
But the other one's long too.
That's the bump though. Tail is like the long. Here's his tail. His furry tail. There you go. That's his bottom. So it's skewed to the left. So wherever the tail is, if I could draw a tail, the tail is to the left, so it's skewed to the left. Remember when we did the dance? Skewed to the left, skewed to the right. What do we use when it's skewed? Median. Median.
No.
Shut up.
All right. Which one of these numbers would be considered the joint frequency? What does joint frequency mean? Like your body, right? You could be standing up or sitting down or doing anything if you didn't have joints in your body. No. Joints are your main data that you collect. So all of this would be your joint frequencies. All your data that you collected. What about the outsides? What's that called? Remember the outsides of your paper. What do we call the outsides of paper? Not starts with the N.
She said margin.
Marginal. So this, everything but the total.
You look like you.
Guys, I don't know why there's so much fun. So, the outside besides that total is marginal. The red is your joint. So which one of these numbers is the joint frequency? 12. 12.
Nothing.
Joint is your main data that you collected. The totals on the outside are your marginal.
So it's your first plate is your.
All of them are. I just said out of these numbers which ones are. I make this up. So I said out of all these numbers, 35, that's one of your marginal numbers. 57 is one of your marginal. And 135 is standard. Yeah, it's none of those.
I must got a shit.
All right, so we just did Next one's marginal. Or no, it's not. What is the probability? Guys, what is the probability of selecting a student in a yearbook given that the student is female? So out of or given. So that would be my denominator. So how many students are female here?
57.
That would be my denominator.
Oh,
Then how many are in yearbook?
7.
7. So it would be 7 out of 57, but they want it as a percent. How do I get this into a percent? Divide. And what do you end up getting?
12.
0.12.
And more the decimal 2 times.
12%.
And so sometimes it will look like 0.12, sometimes it will look like 12%. So if it doesn't say given or anything like that, if it just says what is the probability that it is a girl in your book, we do it out of the total. But if it says given or certain situation, then we do it from that. Okay, this was from Saturday. If you came on Saturday, this was the open-ended question. So it said Maria and Jeff collected data on cars. These are how many cars passed a certain intersection. Here's all the numbers they collected: 78, 158, 63, 71, 56, 67, 75, and 64. And so Jeff says that on average, what does average mean?
Most.
What's another word? If I say Elijah's average at basketball. Mean, right? That's mean, right? So they're saying on average, they would use the mean to find the center, which is 79. Maria disagrees. Maria says that the mean cannot be used and uses the median instead. So Maria uses the median. Who is correct? And she says that there's 69 cars. So first of all, we need to look at our data. Are there any outliers in that data? Yes. Which number? 158. That one's a lot bigger. So it's an outlier. It's a bigger number that's way bigger or way smaller than the rest of your data. So since there's an outlier, what would you use? Median. So when there's an outlier or your data is skewed, you would use median. If your data is normal and there's no outliers, doesn't matter which one you use, they're probably the same or around the same. So when there's an outlier, you use the median to find the center. If it's skewed, you use the median. If it's not skewed or if it's normal, it doesn't matter which one you use because they're probably the same. So here, median. Mm-hmm. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Wait. Yes. And so inner quartile range and lower quartile, that never would be the center of my data. Mm-hmm. I only have one question. I have one question left. One question left. All right. This says, in the freshman group, so out of the freshman group, what % of students agree that it should be mandatory for students to participate in sport? So how many are in the freshman group?
12.
What is it?
No, you gotta add.
You gotta add them all, right? So out of the freshman group, so how many are there total freshmen?
72.
72? 72. So out of the total freshmen, how many believe that it should be mandatory out of those 72? 53. So that would be your numerator. Then you just divide it. So what's 53 divided by 72?
0.73.
0.736. And then how do I move
Only
it?
2 places 2, you're right. Bennett.
Does that make sense?